Good morning, students. Once again, welcome back to another new session of the online English classes. In today's video, we are going to continue with our discussion of the chapter Wonderful Waste. This happens to be the second chapter of your NCERT book, and today's video is the third video or the third part of the complete series. Before we start any discussion of the final part of Wonderful Waste, let us first have a look at the important points that were discussed in the previous video. So, the very first point that we discussed was that after the Maharaja's order, the cook got a nice idea about the reusing of the vegetable scraps. I hope you already remember what the Maharaja's order was. The Maharaja had ordered the cook to not waste the vegetable scraps and that he had to find a way to reuse them. Then the cook began by washing and cleaning the vegetable bits, and this happens to be the very first step in preparing the new dish. Next, he cut the bits into strips and also added some good ingredients in the dish like coconut, green chilies and garlic. Now this is not where the dish has been completed. No, it is not yet done. Alright, so today we will see how it turns out to be and what are the final ingredients that are going to be added in the dish. And we had also discussed about idioms. Idioms are expressions that don't exactly mean what the words say. And the two examples of idioms that we have already discussed are flashing across the mind and being in a fix. Now he whipped some curd and added it to the curry. And who is he here? He is the cook. Alright, so finally in the last video we had seen that a tempting smell was coming from the pot. Yes, why was the tempting smell coming? Because when the vegetables were being cooked, the cook had added a paste of coconut, green chilies and garlic. Now what he is doing, he's whipping some curd and adding to the curry. Now what exactly does whipping or whipped mean? Let us find out. The word whipped is the past tense of the verb whip. Alright, now students, if you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that this particular word has multiple meanings. Alright, but in this particular chapter, it means to move food in a rapid movement and a rapid circular movement. Okay, it is basically whisking. Now, this is the picture that you have already seen at your homes. Yes, your mother's whip curd or they're whisking something. Even if you want to make an omelette, what do you have to do at first? You have to beat the eggs. Yes, that means you have to whip the eggs or you also have to whisk the eggs. Alright, so there are different words for the similar activity. And on the other side, there's this picture of curd. I hope you already know what curd is. Curd is basically doi in Bengali and dahi in Hindi. Alright, now he not just whipped the curd, but he also added it to the curry. Okay, after that he also poured a few spoonfuls of coconut oil and decorated the dish with curry leaves. Now what is the word poured? Let us find out its meaning. The word pour has a very simple meaning and the picture itself tells what exactly does it mean. To make a liquid flow either out of a container or into it. Okay, so here the water is being poured from the jug into the glass. So whenever you're adding any kind of liquid into something out of another container, that means you are pouring it. And here in this chapter, the liquid is coconut oil. Now students, you have to understand that curd is a very important ingredient which is used in many dishes across the country. If you go to North India, Eastern India, Western India, everywhere you'll find the usage of this curd, of this ingredient curd in multiple dishes. Here in this chapter we are talking about a South Indian dish. Yes, so here also we can see the usage of curd. Now, after the curd, what is the cook doing? He's pouring a few spoonfuls of coconut oil. Now, students, you also have to understand that in different parts of the country, different types of oils are used for cooking. Like in our part, we mostly use mustard oil. Yes, but in South India, what they mostly use is coconut oil. Yes, other oils are also used, but coconut oil is most commonly used in South Indian dishes. Alright, so he not just added coconut oil but also decorated the dish with curry leaves. I hope you already know what curry leaves are. Many of us have this plant in our homes. Yes, and curry leaves can be, can be used in again many dishes to give a beautiful aroma or a beautiful scent. Lo and behold, the new dish was ready. Alright, so there is this new term, new expression rather, lo and behold. Let us find out what exactly does it mean. The phrase lo and behold is once again an idiomatic expression which means look, what a surprise. So when you're looking at something and you're equally surprised, there you can use the word lo and behold. And this is not something that you are using for yourself. Like if you have seen something which is very surprising and when you're asking the other person to have a look at it, then you can use this expression lo and behold. The new dish was ready. Finally, the dish is completed after so many steps. The cook served this new dish to the guests that evening. Now just imagine what the cook must have been going through at that time. He doesn't even know how the dish tastes like. Yes, this is the first time something like that has been prepared. So let us see what everyone's reaction was. Everyone was eager to know the name of the new dish. Alright, so it suggests that they enjoyed the new dish. Yes, so whatever they had, they loved it. And that is why they were eager to know the name of the new dish. Now, the word eager also means curious or interested. Okay, so they wanted to know the name of the dish they have just had. So, what did the cook do? The cook thought and thought. Then a name came to his mind. He named it Avial. Alright, so finally we have a name to the dish that is made with vegetable scraps. So when the cook was asked about the name, he gave it a very hard thought and then he found the name Avial. Now students, in brackets you can see UHVRUL is written. Now what is the purpose of this? This bracketed word has the purpose of helping you in the pronunciation of the word Avial. Okay, because many students have the tendency to read the word Avial as Avial. It is not Avial. This is something you have to keep in mind. And it is only pronounced as Avial. This is how Avial looks like. Yes, you can find almost all sorts of ingredients that we have talked about. The coconut can be seen. The coconut paste, like if you have any dish which is made with coconut, you can just see the dish and understand that coconut is there. Yes, you can also see the curry leaves. Yes, in both the dishes the curry leaves are there, and you can also see the vegetables. Yes, nowadays people not just use the vegetable scraps, but they also use actual vegetables in making the dish Avial. Avial became famous all over Kerala and is now one of the dishes in a traditional Kerala feast. Alright, so on the day of the feast, not just the people of Travancore had it and loved it, but it also became a famous dish throughout the state. Alright, and now it is also one of the dishes in a traditional Kerala feast. So a part of a traditional Kerala feast means if you go to Kerala and if there is any occasion, be that a wedding, be that a festival, you will always find this dish there. Alright, let us find out what is the meaning of the word traditional. The word traditional means existing in or as part of a tradition. In other words, it also means long established. So something which has been going on from a very long time. Yes, something that started centuries ago, but it is still in practice. That is called traditional. Alright, now we already know that Avial is a very famous dish throughout the state of Kerala. It's not just famous, but it is also a very important part of traditional feast of Kerala. Yes, it is a part of Kerala's traditional cuisine. But just try to imagine, students, what would have happened if the Maharaja had not entered the kitchen that day? If he had not entered the kitchen, he wouldn't have seen the basket of wastes. Yes, and if he had not seen that, he wouldn't have given any kind of a command or any kind of an order to the cook. Yes, and if all of this had not happened, then Avial, the dish Avial, wouldn't have been there. Right? So, how it came into existence? It came from a basket of waste. So, whatever we think or whatever we consider to be waste is not actually a waste every time. Most of the waste that we produce, that we generate in our lives can be reused, and we should always think and try to find out ways in which we can reuse all sorts of waste materials. Alright students, now that we have completed our discussion of the third part of the chapter, let us quickly go through a summary of the important points discussed in today's video. The very first point we discussed was, after the addition of all the ingredients, the dish smelled wonderful. All the invited guests were curious to know the name of the new dish because they loved it so much. As a result of this, the cook thought hard and named it Avial. And now, Avial is an integral part of Kerala's traditional feast. Integral also means very important. Now it is time for you to answer some very easy questions based on today's discussion. The very first question is, name all the ingredients used to make Avial. Now, what are ingredients? Ingredients are those things that are needed to make or prepare a dish. So, we have already talked about those ingredients. You have to write down the names of those ingredients in this particular answer. Number 2 is, write the recipe of Avial. What is a recipe? The procedure of preparing any dish. So the procedure is also given in great details in the book that you have to write down in this answer. Number 3 is, why were the guests eager to know the name of the dish? Question number 4, mention any 2 ways in which vegetable scraps can be reused. Alright, so we already know about one way. You have to find and think about another way in which vegetable scraps can be reused. With this, we come to the end of today's discussion, but you must be wondering, why can you see to be continued on your screen, right? There is nothing else left in this chapter to be discussed, but there is something, alright, and we'll find out what it is in the next video. Until then, stay safe. Goodbye.